Chapter 7. Joe had called his old friend, Brock, the guy who peaked too soon in high school, the one who trash-talked everyone without missing a beat, who laughed until his sides hurt while he and Joe spent late nights glued to the console back in middle and high school. Back then, Brock was the life of the room, Joe's best friend, the one who made losing feel like winning, because the commentary was always gold. But 15 years later, he was still the same in all the wrong ways. Cocky, quick with a joke, still glued to the controller like it was an extension of his hand. On the surface, life hadn't slowed him down. Still gaming hard, still talking even harder. But underneath, the endless possibilities of youth had drained away. What was left was regret and a dull numbness. Going back to Joe, he began climbing the stairs of a modern apartment building, stopping at the 8th floor. He knocked on the door. For a moment, there was only silence, then the faint sound of shuffling inside. A beat later, the door swung open. Brock froze. His eyes went wide. "Joe, are you real?" His voice cracked, almost as if he didn't trust what he was seeing. Joe gave a faint nod. "It's been a long time," he said softly. Then his tone shifted, firm, deliberate. "But I need you to join me." From under his coat, he pulled a shotgun and a belt of ammo, not as a threat, but as proof that whatever he was stepping into, it was real. Deadly real. Brock blinked. A nervous laugh slipped out as he rubbed the back of his neck. "Man, you serious?" "Bruh, we were just gaming on the couch at 3 a.m., and now you talk in war like we're in some movie or something?" Joe didn't flinch. His eyes were steady, unshaken. Brock slouched back into his chair, crossing his arms with that trademark smirk. "Man, I ain't built for this. Ain't got no family, no kids, no life. Just me and the sticks." Joe stepped closer, voice low but firm. "If you join me, I'll get you a team and the rocket launcher you always wanted." That made Brock pause. For the first time, the smirk faded. He stared at Joe, disbelief mixing with something else. A spark. An old thrill he hadn't felt since the glory days, back when every night felt like an adventure and every game felt like it mattered. And slowly, deep inside, something stirred, like a forgotten cheat code had just been entered. Something inside him woke up. This is Barley. He wasn't always the fire-wielding robot bartender he is now. Once upon a time, he was nothing more than a chrome drink dispenser in a smoke-filled bar back in the 70s. A clunky machine that poured beers, fizzed sodas, and never spoke a word. But decades of upgrades changed him. Piece by piece, line of code by line of code, Barley became something more than a machine. A talking AI. A bartender with a memory like a library, a wit sharpened from years of listening to drunks spill their stories. He learned to read faces, mimic empathy, though he never quite felt it. And after years of breaking up fights the old-fashioned way, he took matters into his own hands, building his own line of Molotovs for crowd control. Sarcasm, fire, and a steady hand. That was Barley. That day, Slow Joe walked into Barley's bar restaurant. The neon signs buzzed outside, but inside it was quiet, dimly lit. A place caught between the past and present. Joe felt heavier than ever. His mother was gone. Brock had turned him down. He stepped inside, not knowing what he was looking for. Maybe comfort, maybe just a glass of something cold. He sat at the counter. Behind it, Barley's metallic head swiveled, eyes flickering with a soft glow. His voice came out smooth, polite, almost cheerful. "Good afternoon, sir. What would you like?" Joe barely looked up. "Water," he muttered. Barley tilted his head. A bold choice. The machine poured the glass with mechanical precision, sliding it across the counter. Joe took a sip, his voice low, skeptical. "AI sure is advanced nowadays." "Certainly," Barley replied flatly. "Technological progress is blooming." The silence lingered. Joe stared into the water, searching for answers at the bottom of the glass. Finally, he let the words slip. "I wish I had a team to bring justice." Barley's eye blinked. Then his tone shifted, clipped and robotic. Justice mode. Automatic. Without another word, Barley marched stiffly from the counter, disappeared behind the register, and returned with a lit Molotov cocktail in his mechanical grip. He placed it on the bar like it was a regular drink order. Joe's eyes widened. "Where did you even get that? I've been trying to find those for months." Barley leaned in, voice deadpan. "Trade secret. Follow me." He led Joe past the bar, through a narrow hallway and into a heavy steel door. With a mechanical hiss, it slid open, revealing a hidden basement. Joe froze at the sight. Shelves upon shelves, crates stacked high, an arsenal of Molotov cocktails stretching into the shadows like a forbidden stockpile. Amazed, Joe whispered, "You're serious? Give me your number now." Barley didn't flinch. He simply handed Joe a card. "My number," he said. Joe squinted. "This is a restaurant phone line." Barley's eyes flickered brighter. Exactly, reservations required. For the first time that day, Joe almost laughed. Almost. The next day afternoon, Slow Joe walked into a small Mexican restaurant, the aroma of sizzling tortillas and rich salsa greeting him. Behind the counter, a group of mariachis played lively music, the sound of guitars, trumpets, and violins filling the air. One musician stood out, Poco, a mariachi who had dreamed of being a musician since he was a kid. Always cheerful and positive, he had a kind soul and a heart full of hope, even though people often doubted him. Today, however, that hope was being tested. As the band played, Poco stumbled over a note. The other mariachis snapped at him, shouting and mocking. His manager barked, "Eres un maldito payaso!" One of them grabbed Poco's guitar in anger and smashed it on the floor. Poco's chest tightened and tears welled in his eyes. Unable to bear it, he bolted outside, seeking a quiet place to cry. Joe followed, stepping onto the sunlit sidewalk where Poco huddled against the wall, his grief spilling over. "I know what it's like to be broken," Joe said softly. Poco looked up through tears. "No one understands me," he whispered. Joe crouched beside him, voice steady, calm yet empathetic. "I understand you. I left my family behind. I've felt the same loneliness and loss, but you don't have to face it alone." Poco blinked, confused. What do you mean?" Joe extended a hand, smiling faintly. "I want you to join me, and I'll give you something special, a healing guitar. Not just for you, but for those around you. It will help you heal others, one song at a time." Poco's hands shook as he took it in. "You mean I won't be fighting alone?" Joe nodded. "Exactly. You'll never be alone." For the first time in a long while, Poco smiled through his tears. Joe pulled him into a brief, reassuring hug, and in that moment, a new bond was forged, a promise of purpose, of music, and of a fight bigger than themselves. Later, Joe headed to his mechanic to get his Jeep repaired. He waited patiently, glancing around the garage, letting the hum of machinery fill the air. But when he stepped outside into the narrow alley, two mysterious men appeared, leaning casually against the wall. Their voices carried a mocking edge. "Joe Newton, your mother is dead," one sneered. Joe froze, then his anger flared. "Who are y'all? Who's the one who did it?" His voice echoed off the alley walls. The men shifted uncomfortably, their confident smirks faltering. One of them finally spoke, almost embarrassed, as if the name itself was too ridiculous. "Slow Morbius." Joe narrowed his eyes. "Who the hell is that?" The answer would come later. For now, the mechanic called him back and Joe got to work on his Jeep. But his mind was elsewhere. Later that day, Joe drove deep into a mist-shrouded forest. Through the fog, a colossal structure emerged, vast, industrial, and impossibly hidden among the trees. It stretched wider than any building he had ever seen, a fortress of secrets, long meant to stay invisible, until now. He drove near and he saw it, a pink guitar, glowing faintly, labeled for healing. Without hesitation, Joe smashed the glass and grabbed it. Alarms blared. Scientists scrambled, shouting in disbelief, but Joe was already gone. He drove away swiftly, cutting through the darkened forest toward a secret market. There, he exchanged cash for a rocket launcher, for Brock in the coming war. Back in his vehicle, driving home, he clenched the steering wheel, planning his next move. Slow Joe was ready.